So welcome to the Node API team meeting for March 4th, 2022. We will start with our usual approach of looking at milestone 11, and we'll go from there. Just waiting for everybody to be promoted. Okay. So first one is the stale issues to discuss. So let's take a look there.
Are you sharing your screen?
I am not. So yeah, let me do that. Good point. Which is the right window. Here we go. Assume everybody can see that now.
Yes.
Okay, so it doesn't look like any new ones since last time, but let's take a look through the list. Okay, so it looks like I wasn't able to make it last week, but it looks like you all discussed this one. Is there anything that we need to talk about this week? Guess there's some documentation that we need to do.
I guess I guess it's Gabriel supposed to follow up, right? That's...
Well, I guess anybody could really
anybody
update because if it's just a documentation change that was decided upon, require that the caller maintain the pointer, right? So it's up to the programmer to make sure that the memory is still valid up until you call define class.
I guess my question is who's going to update the documentation we discussed this change last time.
Right.
Maybe we should open an issue that's in the NodeAPI repo.
Yes, the issue that we were just looking at is in NodeAPI, yeah.
Right, okay. So I'm just wondering, like, do we need another issue, or maybe that's good enough though, if it's
I think this
Yeah.
is good enough, and then we can create a PR that fixes this number and it will get closed.
right. If we look in the docs, so property descriptor. And then sort of define class. Okay, so it doesn't, I was just wondering if like define class is mentioned anywhere in here. So I guess it's like in this, would it also be like it needs to be maintained until this point?
Define properties on the object. Yes. Right, because that's at that point is when a node core would take the values, excuse me,
Right.
the C++ data and construct them as an API values.
Right. So basically it's that like this doesn't make copies, it maintains pointers. Then so you need to use that property descriptor before any of these go out of scope, if I'm understanding correctly.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That seems pretty reasonable. So it's kind of like this section in this example where it could be copied would be a good place. It seems like to mention that, right?
Yeah, because I don't think it would make sense. Well, I mean, it could also be put into the individual definition documentation for the string and const character.
Right. So here, and then where's that other place you were thinking?
In the property descriptor for const the const char. It would still be in that same
Oh, yeah.
page, I think.
Right.
And I imagine there would be one for, right, the name of the property can be any of these following types, const char. So if you use that const char, you have to make sure that
Right.
but do we say that const char for all of, because we have multiple hits here, the name of the property.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll probably be better than just at the top of
Just right there.
here.
Right.
Yeah. Because then we can say that, like it doesn't make copies of any native data
Right.
at the point of defining the property descriptor. So it needs to be valid up until you define it. Define the class or
Yeah.
basically use the property descriptor.
Yeah, that seems like, yeah, up at the front. So maybe that link that I pasted in is where it makes sense.
Mhm.
States that copies are made and so I think given that, basically, that might provide enough context for anybody to jump in and write that documentation.
We also have a class property descriptor that I remember we use only on object wrap.
Class property. So this one, right?
Yeah. So is it the same?
Yeah. Okay.
So
Basically, we should add that there. Right?
yeah.
Okay. So I think that would be enough for somebody to jump in and add that. Anything more we should talk about on that one?
We have another state issue that the number is 1106.
110.
Yeah, I forgot to add.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay,
but,
let me find that. So issue.
Yeah, not the NodeAPI issues 1106.
Okay. I'm just going to add that in here.
No.
Okay.
And okay, we 1104. Yeah, these are two new state issues that I forgot to add last night.
Yeah, no problem. Let's just add them now.
Okay.
Okay. So let's look at 1106 first, and then.
Yeah, because I think that it's 1106 is about documentation in class property descriptor. So
right, so they're both legal. And I guess Gabriel mentioned he would submit a PR. Should I just say Gabriel?
I think that I'm not sure, but I remember that that Gabriel did this PR. Maybe he forgot to mention I need to check the comment.
Okay. So do we want to do that now, or do you want me to just put a comment that says you'll take a look?
Yeah, okay, I will comment later.
Okay, yeah, if you want to comment, great. Okay, and then
In case Gabriel did, I just yeah, comment and close the issue.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Then 1104. Object representation of thrown as an app here. So
Right. I had read this because Gabriel did give a suggestion on what to do, but then the original poster never replied. So I'm not I think it can remain stale.
If I will remember, the question is about the throw not only the NodeAPI exception, but every exception that happened in C++. Is it right?
Yes. And Gabe says here that it would make more sense for those for the exceptions to be handled by the user, because it may be too restricting to always use the what method and construct an API error from that value. So that's basically what he's saying in that last sentence of that last comment.
right.
Right, because you can't throw the standard exception. It only accepts the NAPI exceptions. So he's suggesting, you do your whatever you want in your constructor and a try catch block, and then you catch the standard exception and then throw it as an API error. Which I think sounds reasonable.
As an alternative, what we can do, instead of just using what, in addition to using what, we can actually capture the whole exception as a kind of exception pointer. And maybe we can wrap it up inside of an API error. If access to kind of original exception required, I just don't know what context here much.
Right. And I think since I think we wanted to leave it as generic as possible. And then that's why it has to be an API error, in the sense that the developer has to do the correct conversion from the exception to the NAPI error. I'm not exactly sure what benefit would be given to holding on to the exception pointer or whatnot. Like, even if you were to wrap it in an API error, you really wouldn't be able to do anything with it on the JavaScript side, I believe. So I think it makes more sense for the developer to explicitly do whatever they need on the exception and in the conversion into the NAPI error.
Right.
So I guess it sounds like from the discussion we're like, yeah, it's okay for this to be, we should probably close it.
Yeah, I think so. If the poster hasn't commented back from Gabe's comments in December.
That look good?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'm actually, that was 1104, right?
No, yeah. 4.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I will go back to here, edit it. I wonder if we should just delete the ones that are. Like I could just delete that as opposed to striking it out. I just, because eventually this builds up to a long list of,
Yeah,
so I'd be happy with deleting it. What do other people think?
yeah, I think it can be deleted as well.
Yeah.
Good with everybody? Okay, so I'll delete that. Okay. We talked about 116. I think this one we just talked about, right?
Right.
So 979. This one. Right, okay, so this has been discussed, but still kind of working on it.
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so anything to talk about this one this week or?
I have nothing.
Okay. We'll go back. I'm gonna delete these ones that are resolved as we go, just to at least give us an easier. I think this one, we've agreed what we're doing. We just need to go back and actually. Well, this one I think is ready to land. It just needs to be landed without a particular commit. Which maybe it's, yeah, I just haven't had time to do, but if anybody has time, I think. It's how easy to delete. Anyway, yeah, it just needs somebody to remove that commit and we can land it either as part of that. So I don't think there's anything to discuss. Was
Yeah, we just talked about that one.
this one I think we can delete, right? Sorry, something went wrong. I guess it's because I deleted it, maybe. Okay. This is the one we just looked at. Yeah, okay, this one. Oh, this is merged, so obviously done. Thanks, Nick, for doing that one. That was this one, right? Yeah, okay. Okay, then here, I'm just gonna delete these so that we're. Right, this one I think I know Jack was looking at, but it's turning out to be quite complicated in the end. I guess maybe we should leave it on the list until we have Jack to sort of come to a final conclusion of whether the backport makes sense or not, but it was sounding like it was gonna be a fairly good challenge.
Mhm.
Okay, this. All right. I think that's all of them.
Mhm.
Okay, so that's tail issues, tracking issues in terms of things that are ported. I don't see anything new on that front. Drive for full coverage. I don't know if there's anything new to talk about that. The blog post went out. We had at least one PR. Anything else that anybody wants to bring up on that one? If not, the enable debug testing for add-ons, that one I haven't had a chance to. I mean, it's a very long one. Still haven't done anything. So the last two are looking at list of issues created by the like new issues. Any of those that people have in mind that we should look at? Let's start with those.
Yeah, I submitted a PR for this potential memory leak stuff.
Okay, that's, do we want to take a quick look?
No, it's a main repo, like in
In the main repo, okay. So this is,
I still need to
and-
create unit tests there, but I'm just kind of curious if overall approach is something what we'll be okay with.
finalize the queue. Let's just.
So idea is that previously, whenever we want to run the second run, every time we're saying like this is kind of second pass callback, it usually runs as a kind of micro task. An idea here is that then we do like first initial pass, we put our reference in special finalizing queue, like if you see on line 703 or 72. So we unlink it whenever this reference is inside and put it inside of this finalizing list. And then you see in header file what I've done, we have this try catch. In a try catch, we have this destructor. So if everything was fine, there was no exception, then we can try to drain this finalizing queue. So I did that this try catch is used everywhere we use preamble. So technically anywhere we can potentially touch garbage collector, we can insert in this class. And we still keep running this finalizing queue from inside of second pass. So technically, even if this new fast pass does not work, we still can drain this queue from.
Okay, I'll have to take a look. Like this is one where every time we change something, we blow something up. But so I'll have to look very carefully.
And I'm still working on unit test.
Okay.
So I thought it would be easy, but my initial kind of approach failed.
that is part of it. Is it's like it's hard to test and hard to get right. Okay, so this is. Okay, so that one it's good to have on the radar, I guess, but you're still working on it, and then we'll need people to look very carefully through there.
Yeah, pretty much I want to know you guys' opinion about the overall approach. And we discussed last time, but and Gabriel said we probably need time to understand how exactly to approach it. So I tried to kind of draft a potential solution.
Yeah, we've certainly had cases where people were, they were in a tight loop, things don't get finalized, so.
And here I did that I used this approach inside of NodeAPI for Hermes implementation because I didn't have these micro tasks which I can use. So instead, what I've done, like every single method, which NodeAPI method, which can cause garbage collector pass, in the end, I'm running this, I'm draining this finalizing queue.
Okay.
So I kind of try to use exactly the same approach here. So I did that whenever we have NodeAPI call, and in the end, we just can simply try to drain this queue to be effectively much earlier than any micro task.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Understood.
And also you can see in Destructor, I'm draining finalizing queue before anything else we do.
That's in.
It's it's in the header file.
Oh,
yeah.
This one? No.
No, the next one.
This one?
Oh, no, below like line 67. Yes.
Right. Okay.
So it's inside of Destructor. So technically, we have effectively third collection of all these different references in addition to finalizing ref list and ref list just. But I think it's not enough. In Hermes, I also found that then I tried to copy the same approach as we have for V8. Another issue was like we kind of creating all these different things in the ref list, even we're already inside of a shutdown phase.
Right.
Like the best solution also would be include to add Boolean variable on environment, saying that we're inside of shutdown state, so we don't need to, we must not add anything to this queue. Yeah, I guess it's another thing to add.
Right. Yeah, that shutdown has been our trickiest part for sure.
I also found that our cost for every reference right now is extremely high. Like size of every reference is really big. And,
How big is big?
I'm going to provide the exact measure, but my estimate right now, it's about like, I guess like at least 10 pointers, right? Like, so I guess it's about kilobyte per reference in the end. It's in Hermes implementation, I kind of did it in the way that it's using the bare minimum. I guess it's another kind of optimization around references we can do. We can reduce size of references.
Right. If there's lots and lots of them used.
Right.
Because I guess in this case, it's not that they wanted to use so many at the same time. It's just that they don't get collected, even
Right.
though they're not referenced, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's why this change just targets this specific issue. Does not address size of references or any other issues I just mentioned.
Right. Okay.
So ideas here is very simple. Like in the first pass, we effectively put references in two different buckets, right? One of them we're saying we first of all put it in finalizing queue, and then we still schedule second pass, and we also if we have opportunity to process with finalizing queue before second pass, because second pass is essentially micro task.
Right. I mean, there's probably an obvious reason, but why do we need a separate queue versus just processing the existing queue earlier if we can?
We don't have currently queue. We only have collection of references. So technically today we only have like we're keeping references to them, right? If we have to process them all, we have to effectively need to go through all of them and kind of collect them by some criteria. Whereas like finalizing queue is pretty much saying like this is all references, they must effectively be finalized and die, right? So technically it's and we don't introduce any extra weight, because technically everything what we do, we're taking this reference from existing list and just putting it to another list. So technically it's the same. So kind of size-wise, it's pretty much exactly the same. We're just changing pointers brief enough inside of each reference.
Right. Okay. I guess find some time to take a look.
Okay. Please do. Yeah.
Let's see any other ones that we think we need to talk about. So here, these are the
so
issues.
these other two issues: duplicate section in object wrap and sync stood function. It's new, but we didn't look them previously.
Yeah.
I think that I didn't understand the question, because we have different parameters that we take as input. So we have the same name, but it's an overload, no, for the method. So
Right. So this is a method of object wrap, right?
yeah. So we have we take a vector and initialize this in this case. And we in all the documentation we have this distinguish between the vector, the standard, and I don't think that we need to consider this.
So I think what you're saying is we think that they are not duplicates, just
different function overloads. It's what
different function overloads. for the same method. Further. Does that seem reasonable?
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we have an empty comment. Yeah. If I will remember, I don't know.
Sorry, this one.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, maybe it's a spam. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, I'm just gonna close that.
Sorry, Michael, spam, no spam. No
Yeah,
spam.
okay,
Yeah,
right.
sorry.
Okay. Okay, so we got.
And we didn't have a chance last time go through other issues. We mostly focused on this memory leak stuff.
Okay. But I don't see anything too recent, and unless people like are, hey, we've got something important, we can probably then switch to looking at the core ones.
No.
Yeah, then I tried to do like my first commit inside of this repo. I was prevented from doing it because Clang
Right.
format was not running. And it seems like, honestly, I find this logic running Clang format in this repo too complex. We, for some reason, run in Python and it tries to find this file for Clang format. Like I think the whole thing could be so much simplified. But this way, I'm trying to do like a bare minimum, just point exact file. And it also sounds like it was sensitive to this // backward slash. It's not like node file
Right.
system stuff. It's more, it sounds like Python has more restrictions around all these things. So I try to do this bare minimum, detect platform.
Yeah, yeah,
just,
this looks nice. Yeah.
Did you use the path module to construct it instead?
I guess this command is still going to be different, right?
True. Okay. Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, this, like these, the path dot separate or path dot, there's something that we
Join.
should be able to use for those.
Path join.
Yeah, path join, that's true.
Mhm.
yeah, I can try it to do it. But I think that's one of the issues was actually that Python, which we use at this point, like to run this command, it can't really just understand which one it must run. Like, because if we provide this Clang format without .cmd, it probably kind of tries to use the wrong.
Oh, we'd still have to add the CMD. The only difference might be that like this options would be built up by like -- binary modules plus, you know, I think it's path dot whatever, or actually just path dot join, and then passing in each of these things as a separate part, like the binary modules -bin -clang format. Or the
Right.
node modules bin, that would give you something that had the right slashes.
I see.
You'd still need the, if it's Win32, then add the .cmd at the end.
But maybe even like just doing the right, using path, maybe solve this issue. Let me try it. Yes, that's a good point.
Okay. But yeah, okay, now that's good to, we may not, a bunch of us probably don't use Windows, so it's good if you're checking that out and fixing it.
I mostly use the Windows, sorry guys.
Yeah, so sometimes it's bad when these things doesn't work on Windows. Yeah. I also need to compile something on Windows, so yeah. It's thanks for this.
Did we decide if we wanted to run the formatter for all of the existing files? Was that a conversation we had? Because I remember
we talked about that. I've seen enough cases where like it's awkward that I'm kind of like, it's awkward on the PR, right? Because it's like, I think what we have is like, if you change a file, then it has a bunch of other things. Now you have like your PR that has your changes plus unrelated stuff.
Right. I think in the discussion for the adding const to the methods, I think
Right.
that's where it popped up most recently. And then there was a discussion of making a separate PR just to do a cleanup of everything.
Right. I think like, yeah, I think it might personally, I'd say like if we had a PR that just ran the formatter, fixed everything, that would probably be better for us in the end.
Because one of the annoyances what I found is that every time I'm trying to do some change, I want to do with formatting inside of VS Code, but I can't because if I do it, I will actually change so much code around.
Right.
It's so annoying. Like it actually really kind of makes development so hard that our files not formatted. I understand we want to do this partial Clang format right now because of speed, whatnot. But I think like overall CI must check formatting for the whole file, right? It's not just it must not be just incremental. It should be also global.
Yeah.
Right. Should we open an issue then on Node add-on API to do that?
I think that'd be good.
Right.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay. Okay, so this, actually, I'm going to tag this one. Where is Node? I will labels. Node API, right? I thought I just added that label, did I not? Okay. So this one we already talked about, right? This one, I think we were hoping for some input from Gabriel in terms of context for that. I see, but it's just a copy of the code in node.h. Which makes some sense. Yeah, I think this comes back to our, at least for me, I'm not as familiar with Windows, so I'm not sure even what the $XCU is doing.
Right. All I know is that it's been there since the start of
Yeah.
an API, so I'm not exactly sure.
If you want, I can find out because what I've seen, like NodeAPI seems to be initiated originally by some Microsoft employees, right? And they probably used Windows for many things.
They were very active. Like, in the beginning, it was like there was 2 or 3 people from Microsoft because they were, we actually had the Chocolate 4 as one of the supported engines. So they were one of the more active people at the beginning, and yeah, they contributed the Microsoft expertise. And if back then we would ask them, but yeah, if you have any insight or can help figure out the right
I
thing,
can ping developer who actually introduced it just to kind of get some insight what it's all about. Yeah, well, let me follow up on it.
Okay, thanks. Actually, we could even look at the blame. Are you? Is that no? That's it. Don't do it either. TX. No. Okay, I'm gonna have to go back. CRT. Okay, so now it's going to blame. Oh, come on. I don't know what happened there. Right. Okay, this has been like in Node for 8 years. And
It was Timothy. Who was it?
yeah, he was one of the lead maintainers from Joyent on
Oh, joined.
Node
Oh,
8 years ago.
okay.
So
So
I
it's
think
not-
it's like, yeah, that was the comment down at the bottom, is like the copy we have probably just came from what was in Node itself
I see.
and done for other.
So technically speaking, sections are not Microsoft specific. It's more like it's about common file format. So technically, inside of a common file format, we have different kind of sections. Some of them have standard names, but some of them can have custom names. And all code, if you like, they all can just functions inside of these sections. So often, what people do in order to discover some entry points, they introduce this custom section. So it's quite possible that it was a custom section in a code.
Right.
I suspect, just for discovery. Like for example, when we look on DLL, instead of loading the whole DLL, we can just simply find specific section and read data from it. Anyway, if somebody else have knowledge, will be fine. I can try to learn. Like I really want to understand.
Okay. Yeah, if you can kind of understand, that's probably what it needs. Somebody to do some research, understand why it's there, and what it does. And
Okay.
okay, thanks.
Because I bet that somewhere in Node.js code, we probably looking for the specific sections and then we load in module. So
Exactly.
instinct.
Yeah, like I think that's right. Like when we load the shared object, we look for the entry points, and it's probably related to finding those entry points in like on maybe if this is Windows specific on, yeah, or even if it's, yeah, I guess MVC it was reported, but like, yeah, it's exactly that, I think. And we would have copied these sections directly from the code that was in Node for non-Node API add-ons. So, okay. Yeah, no, if you can do that, that'd be great.
Okay.
Return proper modules. I think this one is. Okay, well, this one seems to be moving forward, so I don't know that there's anything too much to discuss on this one. Unless it's something some of us should go and take a look. It's got a fair number of views. Okay, so this one looks fairly uncontroversial, though. Basically making sure you escape characters properly. Okay, I'm just going to say that looks good to me too. Okay, so let's go back to other issues. Otherwise, I don't see anything new. Are there any other things we should talk about this week before we close out?
I have a quick topic.
Okay.
It's the pull request in the core repo. The number is 365 and 10.
Okay. 365, 10. So 36510, that.
So
Yep.
since last discussion in the meeting, we have Anna commented in the PR that like to, I'm not sure if she would want us to, like, say, fix the finalizer async context checking, but I think that's off topic to this pull request. So since this pull request is mainly focused on the uncaught exception handling,
Right.
so,
Yep.
but I didn't find Anna have commented in the last 2 days. So if people have any ideas, please comment in the thread so that I think we may push forward with PR.
Right. So I think when I read it in the end is like you've updated it based on, is there anything that she's still asking for is the question? Like I thought maybe you'd addressed her comments, but wasn't 100% sure.
Yeah, I addressed one of the comment. It's about the static option that we can know at build time so that we can move the option to the template option parameters. So that's the problem I've addressed with Anna's suggestion. So in this thread, Anna suggests that we can already handling the exception with the callback scope, and the callback scope also brings in the topics about async context checking, but we don't have async ID or async resource for finalizers. So that's the point of that we cannot use callback scope in this PR to handle the exceptions.
Okay, because it would apply to the finalizers as well, right?
Yeah, right.
Does it make
But
sense to create another issue which explains that and says we need to look at fixing that separately?
yeah, I think that's the idea, that we should check the finalizer with the async context checking in another issue. To be honest, like say, since we have a finalization registry API in JavaScript, so that API is also broken on the async context checking for what reason, since it's not in Node.js. It's implemented in Vite and we don't have a hook for it.
Right.
So it's already broken in JavaScript. So I believe it's better to check it in another issue.
Yeah, so maybe if you create that issue and post the link in this issue saying, you know, we discussed and we think the best bet is to deal with those other issues somewhere else. And I guess otherwise you've already suggested that and made any updates, right?
Yeah, right. Sounds great.
Okay, so like if you sort of create that issue and comment, I'll then chime in again just to say, yeah, that sounds like the right way to go, and we'll see if that triggers. Hopefully, take another quick look, and we can get it landed.
Yeah, great.
Thanks for working on this one for so long. Yeah. I know you've been doing that for quite some time. Are there any other ones that we should talk about? If not, then thanks for everybody for their time, and thanks for anybody who's watching the video, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Have a good weekend. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
Same to everybody else.